This is where we dig into interesting sources, pull out the key insights, and basically turn information into something useful for you. Today, we're looking at something pretty fascinating, actually. It's an account of someone, let's call him Blake, who made this incredible commitment. He decided to live, think, and speak only in English every day. Total immersion. Sounds intense, right? And it makes you wonder, how do you actually do that? How can you make that level of English immersion feel natural and, well, effective?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're going to unpack. Our mission here is to pull out the practical strategies, the specific things Blake did, things that you can actually try out yourself. The goal is to find actionable ways to really boost your fluency, your vocabulary, and just your overall confidence in English day to day.
Okay, let's get into it then.
Yeah.
Something this, total must have a starting point. Where did Blake even begin with this deep immersion? Was it like first thing in the morning?
Oh, absolutely. That morning routine was foundational. It was all about setting the tone for the entire day. He'd wake up maybe around 6 a.m., sit up, do a quick stretch, and literally the first words out were, "Let's make today a productive day," spoken out loud. Then, in the bathroom mirror, a bit more positive self-talk, things like, "Today I'm going to stay calm, focused, and do my best." He even had this little mantra for when things felt tough. Let's start slow, but stay consistent.
That's interesting. It's not just saying words, is it? What's the thinking behind why these specific morning rituals are so good for sort of locking your brain into English mode right away? Is it just habit?
Well, it's partly habit, but it's more about intentionality. By consciously starting the day in English, Blake was essentially telling his brain, okay, English is the operating system for today. These aren't just empty phrases. They act almost like commands to your subconscious. It helps ground you in English from the get-go and makes it easier to stay in English later, reducing that mental effort of switching back and forth.
Right. That makes sense. Setting the default. But okay, starting the day with intention is one thing. How did he keep it going? How did Blake manage to turn just normal everyday activities into language practice?
He literally wove it into everything. Cooking breakfast wasn't just cooking. He'd narrate it. Now I'm boiling water. I'll make some eggs and toast. Simple stuff. Apparently, a friend, Daniel, gave him that tip, said something like, if you describe your actions in English, even simple ones, your fluency will grow fast. And Blake really ran with it.
Like a running commentary on his own life? Wow. Did he do that outside too? Like just observing things?
Totally. If he went for a walk, he'd be describing things, maybe just quietly to himself or even softly aloud. There's a man walking his dog. The trees are swaying in the wind. The bakery smells amazing today. Even tidying his workspace became practice. He'd say, I'm clearing the desk, I'm throwing away old notes, I'm wiping the surface. He actually made a little game of it sometimes, trying to finish quickly.
Okay, so this raises a question for me. How does constantly describing simple actions, low pressure stuff, really help make English feel normal and automatic? Does it not just feel a bit forced or tiring after a while?
That's a fair point, but the key is it helps build your internal monologue in English. By verbalizing these simple, often repetitive actions, you're practicing vocabulary, yes, but more importantly, you're reducing that need to translate in your head. You're training your brain to think directly in English about what you're doing. It strengthens what's called procedural memory for language, the doing part, not just the knowing. It makes English feel less like a task and more just integrated.
Integrated. I like that. So, okay, he's got the home front covered. What about work? The professional world, that feels like a different level of pressure. Did the immersion hold up there with emails and meetings?
Oh, absolutely. He applied the same principle. Emails, for instance, replying to a colleague. Sure, I'll send my comments by noon. Short, simple, direct. But he also practiced more formal stuff, writing out emails like, Dear Mr. Edwards, I hope this message finds you well. I've attached the updated project summary. You know the drill. And he mentioned reading his replies aloud sometimes just to check the tone, make sure it sounded right.
And video meetings. That's a big one these days. How did that work out?
Yeah, he leaned into those too. He'd present progress updates, saying things like, we've completed 70% of the new features. The remaining tasks will take about 4 more days. Clear, concise. He even got positive feedback. A teammate, Priya, apparently messaged him saying, your summary was super clear. Thanks, which must have felt good. He also made sure he could handle questions clearly, like explaining why some materials from a supplier were delayed, and client calls too, discussing timelines, maybe sales figures. Sales increased by 15%, and customer feedback has been very positive, always in English.
So, connecting this to the bigger picture, how important is using English consistently across all these different types of professional situations? Writing, speaking, formal, informal, for building that real confidence, especially in business English?
It's absolutely crucial because it takes you beyond just knowing the words. You're applying them in real time under pressure sometimes. This constant exposure forces you to learn specific vocabulary, get the nuances of phrasing right, and just think on your feet professionally. It builds a kind of muscle memory for business communication, clarity, conciseness, tone. They start to become more automatic, less something you have to consciously build each time.
Okay, so work is covered.
Mm-hmm.
But what about outside of work? His social life, personal interactions? Did he just switch to English with everyone he met?
Pretty much. He actively looked for chances for those small everyday chats. He'd greet the shopkeeper, Mr. Ahmed. "Good afternoon, how's your day going?" Or asking for something specific, like at the stationer's, talking to Mr. Roman. "I'm looking for some good quality folders. Do you have any in blue or gray?" Polite requests, Even just quick exchanges. Small talk with Mr. James the tailor. "Business going well today." Or his neighbor, Mr. Clark. "Busy but steady. I like staying productive." Every little bit counted.
And his wife was a big part of this too, right? They practiced together.
Definitely. That support system was key. Their home basically became an English-only space. They'd chat about their day, plans, everything in English. And importantly, they could laugh about mistakes. He mentioned his wife once saying, "The water is lazy," which she meant the water pressure was low. Having that partner makes it more fun, less intimidating. It's a shared journey,
It really underscores the value of those seemingly small, everyday conversations, doesn't it? Even just a quick chat with a shopkeeper turns into practice.
Precisely. It's about using every interaction, no matter how brief. It builds confidence in a very real, very natural way without feeling like a formal lesson.
Okay, now this next part feels like the final frontier, maybe the hardest part for language learners. Blake didn't just speak English, he challenged himself to think in English even when alone. How did that work?
Yeah, this is a big one. The main benefit he talked about was cutting out that mental translation step. It takes time, it's draining, and it makes your speech less natural. So he'd consciously give himself instructions in English, just in his net. Eat slowly. Focus on chewing. Don't check your phone while eating. Or making a grocery list, he'd say the words maybe silently, maybe quietly aloud as he wrote them. Tea, flour, onions, hand wash. He'd even describe random things he saw just internally. A man in a blue shirt is watering plants. A white van just passed. Constant internal practice.
That shift
Yeah.
from translate to just thinking directly in the language, how significant is that in terms of really acquiring the language? It sounds like more than just fluency.
Oh, it's huge. It's really the sign that the language is becoming automatic, true automaticity. When you think directly in English, you're not just pulling up words, you're actually forming thoughts within that language's structure. You're building what linguists sometimes call an interlanguage that operates entirely in English. It turns everything you see, everything you think, into nonstop, unconscious vocabulary and structure practice. English stays active even when you're not talking to anyone.
Wow. Okay, so with all this going on, the morning rituals, narrating tasks, work, social life, thinking in English, how did Blake keep track? How did he make sure he was actually progressing and, importantly, stay motivated? What was his feedback loop?
He had a very deliberate reflection and review process built in. At the end of the day, he'd actually ask himself questions. What new words did I use today? Did I speak clearly in that meeting? Things like that. He even got into recording short voice messages to himself, just summarizing his day in English. That's a great technique, actually, for hearing yourself and catching things. And review was active. He'd look over notes, useful phrases he'd picked up, things like, "We're almost done," or "Thanks for the update, let me show you." He'd also read his own writing aloud sometimes, checking if it sounded natural.
And he set goals, too, I gather.
Yes, but simple daily ones, not overwhelming, maybe just, "Today I will speak clearly and listen carefully," or "Today I will focus on using complete sentences." It kept him mindful, gave him something concrete and achievable to focus on each day.
So when you put it all together, this whole immersive experience of Blake's, what's the main takeaway for someone listening right now? What does it all mean?
I think the biggest thing is that deep language learning, real immersion, isn't necessarily about perfection every single second. It's about consistent, deliberate effort. That mantra he had, "Let's start slow but stay consistent," really sums it up. And his attitude, it's not perfect, but it's real, and that's what matters. That allowed him to just use English constantly. Asking questions, giving answers, describing things. It's the sheer volume, the cumulative effect of all these small, consistent actions that really makes the difference. It reprograms how you use language.
So just to recap Blake's approach.
Yeah.
It started with that morning mindset,
Mhm.
then weaving English into absolutely everyday tasks,
Yeah.
using it consistently at work and in social chats, practicing with his wife, pushing himself to actually think in English, and then constantly reflecting, reviewing, and setting small goals. It was truly comprehensive.
Absolutely. And the core insight, I think, is that you don't necessarily need to move abroad or make some huge life change to achieve deep immersion. It's more about creating countless micro moments of intentional English practice within the life you already have. It's about building those neural pathways bit by bit until English feels like the primary mode.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. Think about just one small routine activity in your day. Could be making coffee, walking the dog, tidying your desk. What if you challenged yourself just today to describe that activity out loud in English as you do it? What new connections might you make just by talking to yourself?